Hello, I wanted to do a little video about baby sleep. So one of my offerings in my work is as a holistic sleep coach. So I find sleep fascinating, and I've studied many hours to become a sleep coach, and it is just such a fascinating topic, and sleep changes so much throughout the lifespan of a person. And newborn sleep is obviously what's relevant for you today. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about that, and I'll do lots of different videos, hopefully quite short ones, all about different topics within the big sleep topic. So this one today is just a little bit about sleep science and kind of architecture of the sleep, to try and explain what they're doing and why they're sleeping the way they're sleeping, just as a kind of foundation and a bit of background. So I'll try and keep it to, under 5 minutes or so. So some of the main reasons why babies sleep the way they do. So one is that they have no circadian rhythm when they're born, and they have no melatonin when they're born. They have small tummies, so they need to wake often, and it's protective against SIDS, and they're doing lots of growing. So all of these reasons I'll just talk about now. So the circadian rhythm is, if you're not familiar with that term, is it's a rhythm that all humans, and other beings as well, actually animals, even some might say plants, they have a rhythm. So a kind of night-day cycle, or a wake-sleep cycle that happens, but we're not born with it as humans, so it has something that has to happen developmentally. Now, there are things that you can do to encourage a healthy circadian rhythm, which I'll talk about in other videos, but because what we do in our waking day can have an impact on how we sleep. So they have no circadian rhythm. So in short, that means they don't know night from day. Newborns, when they're born, will not know when it's day and when it's night. They will just wake up periodically throughout a 24-hour cycle, irrelevant of whether it's light or dark. They also don't produce melatonin, so that is a hormone within our body that becomes essential for sleep. So it helps us fall asleep and it helps us stay asleep. So if we don't have melatonin, then we'll be waking up quite regularly. I mean, every human will produce it, but it's just not there at the newborn stage. So that, in part, again, is another reason why they wake so frequently. That alone, those two things, circadian rhythm and the melatonin, will produce quite an erratic kind of sleeping pattern, very different than adults, which is why it can jar so much and be so difficult. And then another reason is that babies have got very short sleep cycles, so about 30 minutes, sometimes 40 minutes. It does vary, compared to an adult whose sleep cycle is about an hour to an hour and a half. So again, very different ways of sleeping. And babies spend the majority of their sleep time when they're asleep in REM sleep, which is rapid eye movement. And this is when there's a lot of blood rushing to the brain, and that a lot of brain development and brain growth will happen during REM sleep. So it kind of figures that's why babies are in REM so much, because their brain is growing so much faster than our brains, or maybe I'll speak for myself, than my brain. Mine's probably on the decline. But anyway, their brains are growing so rapidly that they need all this extra blood to help with this growth. And interestingly, interesting for me, I find it fascinating, but a lot of this blood is also goes to the area of their brain that is in charge of automatic breathing. So again, it's just really clever, because that helps protect your baby against SIDS, which obviously is really important. And it's quite a light, babies are sleeping quite a light sleep, and again, that is protective against SIDS. We don't want babies to get into really deep sleep, because they naturally need to wake themselves easily, which can be really hard for parents. So hopefully that's a little bit explains about how they're sleeping and why they're doing what they're doing. So all of these things basically mean that children, or newborn babies, sorry, will need a lot of help to fall asleep, and they won't stay awake. They won't stay asleep for long. They won't stay awake for long. And it's on a 24-hour cycle. So all of these things, if your baby is doing all of this, is all really, really normal and actually quite healthy, particularly from the SIDS angle, which we'll talk about in another video. But just as a foundation, I hope that's helped, and we'll talk again soon. Bye.